Hello, John Fisher. Hope you've had a good week. This week, I'd like to share with you the story of somebody who's not very well known, but who is a great inspiration to me. It's a priest called Father Luis de Moya, a Spanish priest. And I'm going to share you his story using mostly his own words. As I say, he's a great inspiration to me. I hope you find him an inspiration too. So he was a priest born quite a few years ago now, in 1953, in Ciudad Real, or Royal City in Spain. You can see it there in the slide. Very briefly, he went to school, after which he entered a prestigious university in Madrid, la Universidad Complutense de Madrid, where he studied medicine. And after qualifying as a doctor, he actually felt a call to become a priest. And so he went to Rome to discern if that's what God actually wanted from him. And after a few years of study, he realized that it was, and he was ordained priest at the age of 28. And after leaving Rome as a priest, he went to Spain. He completed a doctorate at university and was appointed as a chaplain to a school of architecture in a university. And he was a young, fit priest, quite sporty looking, very active and very hardworking in his life as a priest. But then on the 2nd of April 1991, his life changed quite dramatically. So on the afternoon of the 2nd of April, he was driving from Madrid to Pamplona, which is where his university was. And then the next thing he knows, what seems like seconds later, he wakes up and finds himself in ICU, which is an intensive care unit, so the most serious place or where people are the most ill in hospital. He then discovered that he'd actually been there for a few weeks and that he'd been in a car accident and that he had severed his spinal cord at C4. So that's one of the vertebrae, one of the bones in the neck. And it left him tetraplegic, that is, unable to move his hands and his feet. In fact, he was only able to move his head. He then remained in intensive care for over 6 weeks as he started a rehabilitation. I'd like to use quite a bit his own words. He said, "I found myself having to rely on others for my most basic needs, even just to change position during the night. I had to ask for everything, and it was tough because I had been so independent. I was scared of bothering other people and being a burden, but I had no other option." So quite a dramatic change in his life. When he was still very, very young, not barely 40 years old. So how did he then react to this situation? How did Father Luis cope? He said this: "I had two options. One was to feel sorry for myself and dramatize everything, which was very easy to do, so easy that you don't need to be a tetraplegic to do it. The other option was to think about what I can do and not about what I can't. It seems like a naive approach, but it was the only realistic option. What can I do? I asked myself. And I said to myself, I can use my head, I can use my intelligence, which is one of our most important gifts." And then what we see in Father Luis was this incredible fighting spirit in the way that he approached what had happened to him, something so difficult that I know a lot of us would struggle, anybody would struggle. But this is what he said as he approached the situation. So I knew that I couldn't and that I shouldn't seek merely my own comfort and tranquility, confined within four walls, as if I couldn't do anything else, and as if no one expected anything from me. If I succumbed to that point of view, I would have condemned myself to a life of permanent regret. Allowing myself to think that way, which is also a false way of thinking, I would let myself fall into a sense of victimhood. Instead, I could see clearly that I still had a healthy brain, and I had no reason not to use it to its fullest potential. So there he says he tries to focus on what he can do and how he can still, as a priest, serve God with just the remaining movement of his head alone. And then what Father Lewis, in fact, ends up doing is carrying out a very intense life as a priest. He starts teaching classes of ethics at the university where he was before. He carried out research in that area. He continued to celebrate Mass, obviously being assisted, but he was still able to celebrate Mass, to preach, to hear confessions. And he also started to write books, again, of course, using help from others, and to publish articles online. He also tried to meet with others who had suffered similar accidents to him and to encourage them to see the positive aspects of their life and how they could live their lives to the full. And he said this, "I feel like I'm a winner because I have discovered and appreciated more how good people are. Sometimes people are surprised to see me happy, but it is because there are so many people around me, who help me, and who make my life pleasant." So he had this incredibly positive and optimistic view on life, despite what had happened to him. Somebody said about him that his life seemed like a great sacrifice, but only to those who looked at him from the outside. He saw it differently. And he famously said, "I feel like I'm a millionaire who's only lost £5 because I can still do what is most important for a human being. I can think and I can love. I wouldn't exchange my life for anything or anyone." These words which he said that he wouldn't change his life for anything or anyone were words that he said even after he'd already spent many years living confined to a wheelchair and not being able to move for himself. An incredible spirit. One of his favorite verses from the Bible was, "I can do all things in the one who strengthens me." And he explained that the only reason that he was able to have this incredible attitude to his illness, to his accident, was because of his faith. And in fact, despite his condition, he would still every morning be in the chapel at 7 o'clock praying in front of Jesus in the church. And he said that his faith was what gave him his great strength. So obviously, I hope that what happened to him doesn't happen to any of us. Certainly don't think I would be able to cope in the way that he did, but being able to see what we can do and appreciate what we can do, even if we do have ill health, to just still focus on what we are able to do. It's a great lesson that I think he teaches us, of trying to do the best that we can with what we've got. So I hope I certainly feel very inspired by that priest, and I hope you do too. All the best, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Take care and God bless.